For folks that are listening that are trying to get into the short-term rental business, the problem, at least the way that I think about it with our business is we have multiple teams. They need a way to buy stuff and they need a way to reimburse them. Just like all the supplies that we need, there's just a lot of different flows that come from that. I'm really excited to have John on the show today. John and I met less than a year ago. Tell us about TopKey.
Yeah, in a nutshell, TopKey is effective.
You're like my situation. I'm like, what's the best course of action for me?
In terms of
And I feel like that's maybe not super common, but like everyone has that kind of similar setup. Like, what's the problem with that? And like, how can better software solve that?
Yeah, so let's think about this a little bit more. So what do you use for your accounting?
Hey everyone, welcome back to STR Like the Best. I'm your host, Michael Chang. If it's your first time listening to the show, this podcast is focused on short-term rentals where we interview leading investors, operators, companies that operate within the short-term rental space to help you better invest both your time and your money into becoming a better real estate investor. I'm really excited to have John on the show today. John and I met at a conference probably like less than a year ago. Him and his colleague were like super funny. We're like hanging out at the booth, and he reached out, and I would love to hear what him and his team are doing on TopKey. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode today. John, thank you for joining us today.
Pumped to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for taking the time. You're busy crushing at TopKey. Tell us about TopKey.
I appreciate the ability to come on and in a nutshell, TopKey is effectively a financial operating system for property managers. So we work with vacation rental companies, hotel groups, and long-term rental managers. And in a nutshell, we help basically streamline financial operations. So we help you close your books faster, and we help you capture more unreimbursable expenses. TopKey has a number of different products today across kind of a swath of financial tools. So initially, we started with what was basically expense management. So the ability to really quickly track every card purchase and then bill it back to a owner, sync to your accounting system, sync to your PMS. We've expanded a banking product, pay up to 3.5% APY. And then we have a full AP product that really serves to help managers basically streamline owner payouts, vendor payouts across like checks, wires, or ACH. Yeah.
John, that sounds so boring, man. My God, Jesus. This is like the stuff that business owners have to do. That is like, no one gets into short-term rental business and say, man, I gotta classify my expenses better.
It's the unsexy stuff that is that keeps you up at night, I think.
And it's the stuff that people have to get right when you grow. We're 39 properties right now, and I've seen so many people along the way, hey, how do you do your accounting? Like, oh, what do you mean? I just look at my Airbnb statement, I look at my bank account, and like if there's more money than it was last month, and I'm doing okay. Like, not really the right way to do it. I say that as a joke, that boring, but like there's a lot of stuff in business where like there's the sexy stuff that everyone talks about, but like it's the nuts and bolts of building your business, making sure that the revenue that comes in actually is cash in your bank account, and that you know exactly how much money is leaving your bank account, leaving your company. Like that is like, those are the bread and butter tools of a business that a lot of people don't get right. So I'm glad like you're here today to talk about that, because I think it's a problem that people don't really think about. But once you shed some light on it, you're like, oh crap, like I don't know if I captured all my revenue. I don't know if like how much money I spent. I don't know how, where the money goes. So I think it's a really good, and I'd love to kind of explore that topic with you. But maybe before that, like, how'd you get started with this? We were talking a little bit about your background. I'd love for you to share that and how you came up with the idea for TopKey.
Yeah. So, ton to unpack on what you're saying. So how I got started, just kind of high level. I used to do. I was in finance, kind of similar to yourself. I think we both share this. We were both in investment banking.
Yep.
I was on the industrials team at Wells Fargo Securities, based in Charlotte and then New York, and then I ended up joining Starwood Hotels after I left Wells after my kind of like analyst stint, 2 years as an analyst, and then joined their corporate development M&A team at Starwood Hotels up in Stanford. Did the reverse commute from Midtown to Stanford, Metro North Line. So I was there for a couple of years, worked in kind of the hotel space, and really like just loved the industry kind of from that experience. It was a really fun, but also very interesting time to be there, because Starwood actually was going through a really deep analysis of whether to sell the company or, actually merge with a peer. Ultimately, we got bought by Marriott, and so I was kind of there, had a kind of front row seat to that and worked on it. And we also worked really closely with our timeshare business to kind of do effectively a spin out, and ended up turning it into an acquisition where we sold the company to another player in the timeshare business. So I really spent a lot of time kind of learning that sector, and just like getting a firsthand look at like a really crazy period in the hotel world where Starwood, it was, I think it's still one of the largest hotel acquisitions to date, Marriott acquiring Starwood. So long story long, I moved.
On a personal note there, that transaction really screwed me, because my mom used to work at Starwood, and we were we really, really abused the employee benefit for like decades.
Gosh, the employee benefit was so good. Yeah.
Decades. The Star Hot program. My God, it was the best. Oh God, it was like the best program ever. I would like stay at the Peninsula in Tokyo for like $99. It was crazy. The best thing ever. It was crazy. So when that Marriott merger went through, I think we had like a year grace period, and it went away. So I was very, not when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like that's when we lost those benefits.
Dude, I use that benefit so rarely. Like I moved to New York, and I'd worked you work so much in banking. I was in banking in Charlotte, like 100 hours a week. And I like legitimately that we were on a coverage, like a industry coverage team, and the industry coverage team just work all the time. And so when I got to New York, I was like so happy to be in New York, and I still worked a lot, but I didn't travel a lot. And then when we got, I think I probably used that 3 or 4 times. And I remember at the end of the day, like realizing how much the last time I used it, I was like, oh my God, I had no idea this was such a great like benefit. And I wish I traveled more during that period. But so I ended up going to California. I moved to San Francisco, and I joined a company called HotelTonight, which was at the time kind of like a last minute booking platform. We were and had early partners with Starwood, which is how I found them. And then just had an amazing time there. I joined a partnerships team, so I kind of took a different role from finance. Anyway, worked there for a few years. We actually got bought by Airbnb. Kind of led me to Airbnb, and I was effectively a middle manager at Airbnb for a year and a half, almost 2 years. While there was just really like kind of got the startup itch. So I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to do. And during COVID, just saw an opportunity to leave and start something. So actually went through what's called Y Combinator, which is like a startup accelerator out in San Francisco. And we were building something totally different to start. We were building a marketplace to connect property managers and owners. That was kind of our big idea. That's what we applied for when we went to Y Combinator. But ultimately, we realized my wife and I had moved to a small beach town in Florida, close to where I'm from, called 30A, Santa Rosa Beach, kind of near Destin. And I was just really spending a lot of time with property managers that I knew, but also people that I was kind of like friends with, people at my gym, people in the community that I got to know that were managing projects, tons of people and tons of companies there. And, just had spent a lot of time interviewing property managers about other pain points. And the pain point that just kept emerging was financial tooling. And I should say not financial tooling so much, but just the inability to have a good grasp of key metrics around like what you said. How much am I spending? How much am I billing back to owners? How much am I leaking? I have cards all over the place. I have people manually handwriting receipts and trying to track them. And, just kind of a really messy set of workflows that just really weren't optimized for what was clearly a big pain point. So that was really the impetus. It's been a long journey since, but basically just talking to a bunch of managers over the course of, call it 3-4 months, was really the start of it, and then just building it out on a whiteboard.
So let's talk about that a little bit, right? For folks that are listening that are trying to get into the short-term rental business or already in it, the problem, at least the way that I think about it with our business is we have multiple teams, whether they're on the ground in Tennessee and Philadelphia, where we have most of our properties, or my customer service team that's located like overseas. Everyone, they need a way to buy stuff, and they need a way to reimburse them, right? If they're fixing something to buy batteries, they had to go to Home Depot to do something, or like my folks on the customer service side, like has to buy toilet paper and all just like all the supplies that we need. There's just a lot of different flows that come from that. So, we manage it by, I'll just talk about how we do it. We manage it by, there's a Amex Amazon card where everything from Amazon gets paid through there. We use Mercury, and it's an online platform, so you can create a bunch of cards, virtual cards for my team, so that like I know what, I can set limits and all that stuff. And I can know who has what card. And then we use Ramp, that we give our on-the-ground teams the credit cards, and they go and take the pictures and do that. And, we can track spend pretty well. And, they can't go off and, they can't go buy gas with it, for example. Like we don't cover gas, so like we can shut off gas. So it's nice to have a little more finite control versus just giving someone like a general corporate card, which you and I know from investment banking, like, giving someone that card versus having a little more control, from a financial controls perspective, it's a lot better. So that's our setup. Like, I'm just curious, like, and I feel like that's maybe not super common, but like everyone has that kind of similar setup. Like, what's the problem with that? And like, how can better software solve that for me? Or like, what can I fix?
Yeah. So let's think about this a little bit more. So what do you use for your accounting?
I use HostAway. For folks, HostAway is a PMS, a property management tool. So basically all of our properties that are Airbnb, VRBO, all the different OTAs, online travel platforms. So they all connect through HostAway. HostAway is really the hub that controls all the reservations, pricing, but it has all the financial data there. So it really is the hub of where your information comes in. And then we also, we use a company called B&B Tally, which helps us take Airbnb payouts and decomposes them into taxes, fees, et cetera, et cetera. So we want more granularity into our revenue, into what actual revenue.
Yeah. So, and are you using a maintenance tool like Breezeway or something like that?
We're internally, I think a lot of people listening are more like self-managers. So we internally manage our own book. So we don't have the issue of billing back a client for something.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's probably like, maybe one distinction between, yourself and a lot of property managers that have like the billable that they have to get kind of reimbursed from owners every month. But really, if you think about it, like you're using 5 or 6 different tools like out of the gate to manage this stuff. So I think one thing that like we've been able to kind of show with a lot of these folks, we're very, Ramp and Mercury are good tools for sure. We've actually used both. But if you think about it, TopKey has all the same functionality, but we also integrate to HostAway. We integrate directly to your maintenance tooling. So if you use Breezeway, we have a direct integration to Breezeway. So you can pull back tasks, push them out to your PMS. You can actually pay bills directly from a task in Breezeway. Again, a lot of managers that we work with use something like that. Separately, we have the ability for you to kind of have the full end-to-end workflows of all the systems that you mentioned, but it's in one place. So one big advantage of using TopKey over just kind of generic cards is we directly integrate to every major card provider. So for example, you can work with us directly. We have a direct American Express integration, and you can use the kind of best rewards that you get. So with Ramp, you're getting 1.5% cash back. With TopKey, you can use your Amex card and get 2% or whatever the reward is that you want, because maybe you live in Atlanta and you want to fly Delta, or maybe you're in Austin and you want to fly Southwest because you want your spouse to travel with you. So you use the double mile Southwest card, or maybe you just love Capital One Spark. You can use that. And then separately, you can use like an Amazon 5% cash back from Amex, which everyone should use.
So I think I didn't know that. So that's actually really important. So through TopKey, you can actually, I can actually still access the same rewards program on Amex through your virtual card?
Any Visa, MasterCard, or
cool. Very cool.
I say any. I think there's like one random bank and card combination with MasterCard we can't do, but pretty much every major business credit card you can connect to.
That's really neat.
The other thing is we have a direct integration to Amazon. So anytime you make purchases on Amazon, we will take and cut the transactions automatically, pull in the invoices, create custom invoices, fix them directly to your receipt. So you don't have to do any like manual tagging for things like Amazon.
Okay.
Big pain point. A lot of managers we work with spend lots of money on Amazon. And then everything kind of can connect to either your third-party bank. So if you want to use an existing bank, you can, or you can use our bank, which has zero fees, effectively zero fees. And then you have full ability to earn, I think we pay out like up to 3.4% APY today. And you have like the ability to essentially take a lot of different tools and combine them into one. We're FDIC insured up to 3 million. If you're using Mercury, it's kind of similar in that regard, but having everything in one place, a not so, minor issue as you start to scale. Nothing you mentioned, like we have like a full on revenue recognition product we're about to launch, which would effectively allow you to do some of the stuff you mentioned with, I think, BNB Tally. So we have that bank reconciliation product that you could then pull in. So
that's something that I think a lot of people don't do. And like the way I do it, I just, on my QuickBooks, I have a revenue number. Say it's $200,000. Right? So this is like for it's summer, so it's better right now. So say May was like 200K, and I go into my bank and I go and download. I have to manually download all the transactions, and then write a sum if function, and tally up all the credits, and it's like, how close do I get to 200? How close do I get? And obviously there's timing differences. Things roll. So it's like, okay, it's like 1 or 2%. Like I don't get too fussed about it. Like 3 or 4%, 3+%. Like, wait, okay, well, what's going on here? Something's like funky. I'm going to figure out. Most people don't even do that. And I'm just like, oh man, like folks, so you have a product that can do something similar?
Yeah. So we're about to launch a product that will have this fully, includes a direct integration to Airbnb. So we're really pushing we'll be able to kind of support kind of an end-to-end reconciliation in the same manner that you might have to do manually today, which is exactly what a lot of people are doing. It's amazing to me. So many people are basically just staring down the barrel of, I think I collected this much. Maybe my bookings showed X dollars. Maybe my bank account showed Y dollars.
Yeah.
And you just don't, there's a lot of like, just a lack of visibility, and it's just basically the debits and credits that come in and out. And how do you know that, what's in your bank account is reflective of, what actually was accounted for to your guests from your guests.
This is so important. I want to highlight, because it seems a little esoteric and kind of technical, but it's so important that the cash is the lifeblood of your business, not revenue, not EBITDA, not profit. That's an accounting fiction. Anyone smart, anyone that knows accounting can kind of like futz around with that. The only one number you can't futz with is cash. So it's really dollars in, dollars out. That is the single source of truth. And in your business, if you don't know how much money you're actually collecting, you might know your revenue, but if you don't know that you're collecting that cash that revenue represents, like you have a major problem. And then, there's obviously, levels to that, right? Like for most of us, if you're not running you don't have a full kind of finance department, it's kind of hard to kind of get to that level. There's software, your software solves that. The closer you can get to that, the better. And I know of many, many, many cases of people thinking they were profitable, like in our mentorship program, when they come in and say, hey, I made all this money. I say, okay, great. And then I set up with our accounting, we have an accounting partner, VA. Basically, he has a VA company that goes and helps people sort out their books. And they're like, oh, wow, like I didn't realize. Oh, really? I didn't realize this. Oh, I didn't realize Stripe was taking 3%. Oh, I didn't realize this payout account was different. Oh, I didn't realize like all these things. And they're like real dollars and cents. And what you think was profitable ended up not being as profitable as you thought, because you didn't collect the cash that you thought, because you weren't taking into account payment fees. 3% is not nothing from Airbnb or for Stripe.
Totally.
You're getting leakage, like all these expenses that like you didn't know. I didn't realize. Oh, I had this. I didn't realize I was paying my person this. Oh, I didn't realize I was doing this. So this is where, like, if you're listening, like, this is where it's important. I think this is a real value proposition. I think I'm pretty decent at this, but like, even I learned, oh, wow, like I didn't realize that. That's actually a big reason why I didn't want to switch it on a product, because I get 5% back from Amex.
Yeah.
We buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. So like between my wife and I, like we have 2 cards, and that's, it's a $100K limit on the thing, but that's $5K a year. I mean, it's $10K between us
totally
for using one card. Like, why not? Like I'd be silly not to.
I'm we're the only company that probably is like actively pushing against using a TopKey card. And I'm like, just use your Amazon 5%. I can't beat that. Like, it's like one of these things where even like systems like Ramp, it's like 1.5%. A lot of companies we work with, they're like, you know what? Like, I spend $200,000 a month. Like, I want those rewards to fly, and I, it's like, at TopKey, when we partnered with American Express maybe a year and a half ago, and we spend $50K a month or something like that on credit cards, and it's like, it's nice to get like the rewards for that. And I, my wife's from Sweden, so we travel internationally a fair amount just to see her family and stuff. And like, it's nice to be able to fly. Like, but I think a lot of this stuff comes down to like, it is important to have controls on your business. And I think people don't realize to the extent to which it's kind of like, it's really easy to kind of track something up to a certain point. And we all can do better running a business. You're always kind of tracking up to a certain point, and you go, I don't know, it's a long tail, or like put that into another line item, and it's like, well, at some point it's, there is a point at which you got to step back and go, wait, like the average property manager at the best performing company is maybe netting, I don't know, 17%, like 20% is like maybe like top tier. If you talk to like folks who do, our team just did a webinar today with C2G advisors. They work with a lot of bigger managers, and it's like 20% is like incredible if you're a really great manager. So, you're not printing money, but you can make really good returns if you follow a very kind of methodical approach. And, there's ways to do that with technology that I don't think people realize. The other thing I would mention, and I'm sure you've seen this, is like, we partner with a lot of bookkeeping firms. In fact, a lot of our best customers are bookkeepers, accountants. But I always caution people like, hey, you're going to be working with a third-party accounting firm. They're more than happy to like work with you. As you scale, their costs go up. You just continue to scale with them. So it's really important to kind of have visibility for your own perspective, to be able to say, hey, we know like how much we're paying out. We know kind of like what's actually going on behind the scenes. So you have another perspective on it. Because many times I've seen there are third-party accounting firms and whatnot, and then they just have like a VA who's doing the work, and you end up like paying for a VA. And it's like, it's a little bit of a Russian tea kettle, it's like, put it that like, and it's like, hey, like you just need to be aware, because anytime you have third-party providers, like having good tools to kind of ensure you have visibility, not just like your accounting firm. It's very easy to offload everything. And on some level you should delegate, but like financial stuff, you cannot delegate completely. Like you just can't. And it's important that you have visibility. So good tools, TopKey or otherwise, like that's kind of our mission. It's like, how do we build better tools so people can get better visibility? And we're building this product for this industry. So it's not like the product's not done. We are constantly meeting. We meet with 40, 50 companies a week. That's kind of our standard week for our CS team, where we're just doing calls pretty much every day. And the goal is like, hey, what's working in the product? What can we make better? What new features do you want? That has really been our kind of like secret sauce to being able to grow like we have, and really grow without hardly any churn, basically. Mm-hmm. The team is like right in the other room here. So they're right behind me, which is great because we're all working together. We're based here in person. So I don't know. We've been really blessed to find a niche and kind of carve it out and build, but I feel like there's a lot more to do. So.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you can think about how you found this podcast, maybe it was on TikTok or Instagram, or maybe someone shared it with you. I don't run ads for the show or have any sponsorships. So the only way this grows is through word of mouth. If my podcast is valuable for you in any way, please hit the subscribe button and share this with someone who you think would help their investing journey or business. Thanks a lot, and let's continue on with the episode. No, it's great. Like it's I was talking about QuickBooks. I have a love-hate relationship. I mean, I need it because we need visibility into revenue, expenses via classes, which for folks that if you have multiple properties, you definitely, don't cheap out and pay for classes so you can actually see how each property does individually, and don't try to do things vertically. Like eventually got to go horizontal.
So can I share a little thing we can do? So if you use TopKey, you can just tag a transaction to a property, and then we can map every property to a class, because a lot of managers like yourself use the class functionality. Or you can also map to customers, or some managers use locations. You can have separate classes for each property, and then you can have, whenever you tag a transaction to a property, you can essentially, when you sync back to QuickBooks, it automatically syncs back. We actually also have AI now that runs through the product to basically tag to the correct GL category. We're at like 95% accuracy on that. And it'll just automatically say, this is this based on your previous transactions. So you can think about it like, this is what a lot of times you're paying a bookkeeper to do. You're going back to QuickBooks and you're going, this transaction goes to this class. It's like, you can just automate that. You can even set up cards for properties. There's a bunch of customizations you can do.
Can I set up an individual card per property, like individual Amex, Amazon card per property?
Yeah, I would say it's not needed, because the product's built to kind of mitigate having to do that. A lot of people thought that was an approach. I have had a few people that do it, but there's much better ways to do it.
That's a lot of bloat. There's a lot of bloat there. So how much is it? Like, how do you onboard? Like, what does that process look like? I didn't mean for this to be an infomercial for actually, because my bookkeeper actually listens to this. So Donna, I love you. And let's just all better tooling makes us all better. But we spend a lot of time and resources on accounting, because I actually really want, we probably overspend on accounting software and time, because I really, the investment banking side, if I don't know the numbers, it would just drive me crazy. And now I'm more this is kind of a blind spot, because we have stuff that works, but I think kind of pre-AI, kind of 2020, my accounting stack is definitely 2020, and things have moved for a fair amount since then. So, if you're kind of 40 properties like me, right? If you're my situation, what's the best course of action for me?
In terms of kind of what I'd recommend, and we see this, I haven't seen a ton of companies in our industry using your stack in particular. But we've seen people who have been on that specific stack come over and just not miss a beat, being able to integrate to your PMS automatically, push things back to QuickBooks. TopKey's very, very it's priced to make it very easy for folks to be able to use it. I mean, I'll put it this way. If you're using our bank accounts, it's essentially free typically for folks. Maybe there's a small fee, software fee on top of what the yield is. But under, 50 units, it's very, very reasonable, a couple $100, a little bit more than that when you get past a certain number. So it's very doable. We do have some the pricing varies by, what specific integrations and things you're using. But, by and large, it is one 30-minute call to get set up, and you're basically rocking and rolling. Very easy to go live. Takes 10 minutes up front to kind of get set up with an account. It's really straightforward. And, what we typically do is we commit to setting up kind of recurring calls with yourself or your bookkeeper. So for the first 6 weeks, basically every other week you have a call with our team, and then we transition that to monthly. Really the purpose is just make sure there's nothing left no question left unanswered. And people tend to love that, because what I found is bookkeeping firms and financial people really want to know that whatever system they're implementing, it's not taking them a step back from what they previously had. Finance folks tend to be, I don't want to say less tech forward, but they don't want to diff it from what works, right? There's a reason people still use Excel in finance. It's just this is what works. And a lot of times, I mean, back when I was in banking, it was we still used, it was 2003 Excel.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't want to upgrade.
Could it work? Because it worked
like,
with all the models.
I have the macros. It all works. Like, I'm not going to change. So there's a little bit of a funny like dichotomy there where you like, it almost can be a negative to like upgrade, if you will. So we've spent a lot of time to make sure, hey, you know, this will work for you. Here's the stack. Make sure you're not missing something. And in the event there's something that's missing, we definitely have built plenty of those things one off. Like, all right, we need to launch.
Well, it makes me more comfortable. I mean, you know, we're cut from the same cloth in the investment banking side. You know, I stayed longer than you, probably too long. I probably should have, you know, I came in an associate. So I think like
you got to make the big bucks though, right?
Oh yeah. Crushed it. No, it was good. It was, I mean, the associate years were like, I mean, you know, you move up and it gets better, but, yeah. Like I think I was there for like 10, I think like 4 would have been.
What did you focus? What was your,
I was so M&A in New York actually, and then a lot of like healthcare services. I was a generalist and I ended up doing a lot of healthcare services, and you know, the companies my clients I worked with, all very, very smart people, very, very smart companies.
Sure.
But I was just like, there's got to be more. Like, I think I can do more in life. I don't know what it is.
You're rolling up like dental agencies for private equity firms, right? So like,
oh, dude, I was doing like renal care, like end stage renal disease and like hospice.
Huh.
Yeah. So different business model.
Sobering.
Yeah, very, very much so. A different business model. And I just was just like, I need, you know, I want to do something different. I didn't have the tech skills that you have. So we need to figure out something where I can apply the financial engineering knowledge to something. And, you know, arbitrage worked out because there's a pretty big spread in the beginning, and then we're able to, you know, continue just, you know, take that learning and grow other businesses above that. But
were you buying properties and like doing that while you were a banker, or did you kind of like get into it after you decided to take the leap, or was it a little bit of?
John, there's outside business activities, which was, you know, I took very, very seriously. So, we definitely, you know, wanted to make
disclaimer.
Everything that we did was wanted to be passive. Sure. You know, everything we did was was kind of passive real estate activities. But you know, my wife really kind of focused on, and all joking aside, you know, we kind of figured it out in 2016. Like, this is actually pretty viable, and then we leaned into it. I helped out, of course, but my wife really took the lead. I love business. I don't necessarily love real estate for like what real estate is. I love it because it's a great business. My wife loves real estate, and then she learned to love business because it's like a way for her to be around real estate and acquire more real estate. So in a way, like, it was a good match because we came at it from different angles. Like, I was pretty agnostic on the product. And then I discovered, you know, 30-year fixed rate financing. And I was like, wait a minute, like, this is pretty good. I like this. Yeah. And then she was like, oh, 30% cash margins and low payback and low cost financing. It's like, oh, okay, like, oh yeah, but it's actually, this works this way. Oh, but you know, that's like, oh, like, you know, we each saw things that we, you know, weren't natural to us. And then we haven't killed each other yet. So we're still working together 9 years later.
I mean, kudos for being able to work with your spouse. I think that's such an interesting like thing. I really respect people who do that. I feel like it's probably, if you can do it, it probably is great for a relationship. If you guys are able to succeed at it, it probably shows that you guys have the ability to partner on multiple levels, right? Like, and also like, there's probably a lot of creativity that goes into it, from both like the kind of staging and showing and financing, and there's just a lot of different components to it.
If you can figure it out, I think it's actually like incredibly powerful. You know, it all goes into the same bucket, right? Like, if anything, one, you have to be really aligned to like what you want to do in life. I think that's kind of the key thing, at least for us, was like, we want to both be really good parents. We want to like, we want to be we want to be at home. We don't really want to like, you know, both of us travel and, you know, be on work calls. We want to like be really good parents. And a necessary condition to that was like not being an investment banker. Because I just
working 80 hours a week and being gone every Sunday morning is not like ideal for
shocking. I mean, look, there's a place, and not to say
Sure.
if you work 80 hours, you can't be a good parent. I just like, for me, it just wasn't like, I didn't see myself in that. And then, we were looking for a way to get out. And the only way that we really could do it was if we worked together. Then we had kids. And I think actually now raising kids is a lot easier now because we've gone through that. We know how to communicate and problem solve together. And then just on the financial side, since we're talking more finances, being able to, acquire mortgages in one person's name, for example, being able to be, strategic in how we finance properties, how we structure ownership, how we, we're like one tax entity under the eyes of the IRS, right? Like bonus depreciation, material participation, like we can do it together, like we can split those hours and, recognize as one. There are all these things that as a married couple that you can do together without a bunch of paperwork and legal structuring and lawyer costs. And there's just a level of trust there, right? Hey, we're like doing this because we want to send our kids to like a really good school and we want to provide for them. So all those things versus not to say other successful partnerships, but you work with someone else that's like not your spouse, right? Like there can be an alignment on the business vision, but there's probably not going to be perfect alignment on like the goal, the why, really.
Right.
And then you got to split everything up. You got, you got to do a bunch of things. So we found it to be, to work. 9 years, like no really heavy object thrown at each other. We've had phones thrown at each other. That was it. The heaviest thing was like an iPhone 14, I think maybe like a year and a half ago. In frustration.
Hopefully it had a case on it, maybe.
It did have a case. I think it broke though.
I mean, the thing is, just from and again, you did a lot longer than I did, but just, I have so many friends who are still in the industry, and it's a weird, not weird, but it's a uniquely, I think a lot of law, like big time law is like this. I know friends in accounting, where you have like a bonus that you're tied to. There are very limited windows where you can leave because the clock essentially the clock resets. And then of course there's like, okay, if you leave, you only get a quarter of your bonus or whatever. They've figured out ways to make it
so hard to leave.
Ideal. But like you hit a certain point every year and people go, well, I'm just going to have to I'm just in for another 6 months, And the higher you get, the more it becomes just like a gilded cage because you don't necessarily, it's very hard to say I could make more going outside of that because for most people they can't.
You can't. You actually can't. So one, you can't if you're folks that aren't like in professional services, the way they get you is like deferred compensation.
Deferred comp,
which is basically like, hey, congratulations, you made $1 million this year. Like, oh, cool, awesome. Where's my check? Like, no, actually, well, you get 600 now, and then pre-tax. But then the 400, we're gonna give you over the next 4 years, 100 per year, tied to a stock price. Oh, but then we're also gonna pay you. We tell you what your bonus is in February, but we're not gonna pay you until May. All these things that like they structure. So you're like, oh man, okay, so I didn't really make $1 million. I made 600 plus one. Okay, that's still good, but I still have 300 there that like I have to wait for. Okay, and then I don't get paid until May. So like I'm already 5 months into the year. So and then you basically have this accumulation of deferred comp, and then your current year comp is effectively deferred too, and your bonus is deferred. So like all these things, they just try to push everything out to the right and make it as much, and then you can't leave. If you leave, then all that goes away. So then it's very smart because the math is like, wow, like you got to have something really good to get out, or you're just like, you just can't do it anymore
as you get higher and higher in your career, your objectives change, and you're tied to new business, and that's obviously like the best folks on the sell side. It's ultimately like, can you go out and bring in a client and left lead a deal or whatever? So you're really vested. So you build these relationships over years, and there's all these other incentives professionally and otherwise where you're tied into the outcome. So it can create a world where you really are stuck, and a lot of people I mean, I certainly know friends who are just absolutely love it. I mean, I do know people who really are fantastic at what they do, and
Yeah.
they're heads and toes better than most people in what they do. They also work like they're
Heads and toes.
38 and they've worked like they were 70. You know, they have a lot more experience. But there's a lot of people that just, I find that, you know, they like maybe made the decision like you did, which is, hey, there's something else I could do. And so kudos to you for doing it.
And look, and there are people that are just stuck there too, that like can't really leave, that have to do it. That have, you know, I think that's the two parts, right? Is one, your identity is really tied to being the lawyer, the banker, the consultant, whatever point in life you are, your you know, your friends, your neighbors, your kids at, you know, your parents at your kids' school, they all think of you like, oh, John's the banker, John's the industrial banker, Mike's the M&A banker. And then coming down that mountain is actually really hard. Where, you know, you work so hard to climb up this mountain and you're like, oh, wait, I made it. And you're like, oh, crap. Like, this is what I thought. And how do you come down? Like, that's something my daughter, whenever she climbs up, I actually really try not to help her down. I'm like, if you can come up, you got to be able to come down. And that's really hard to actually come down. Going up is actually a lot easier. You can see. Coming back down, you have to look behind you. It's like really just awkward kind of feeling. And I want her to like understand that. One, so like she doesn't go as high, but two, just like, hey, you know, you gotta learn to come down. But like coming down the mountain is like a really difficult thing for a lot of people to do, because you have to come all the way back down or part of the way, and then all your identity and all that stuff's tied to that. And a lot of people are unhappy, like they can't do it, and they're unhappy. Yeah. So
life is short, man. But now now people, when you walk into room, people are like whispering like, oh, that's the STR like the best guy.
You know, it all sounds, I was just on a call before this, it all sounds like a great plan. It all just like worked out and everything. And we're still like, we haven't made it. We're still, I mean, like, not that we haven't, you know, we're still working hard on what things that we want to accomplish. But I would just say, like, if that's something you're thinking about, or anyone listening thinking about, I know we were talking about software and but why do I want to use TopKey, right? Yeah, like I want to save some time. I want to know better. I don't want to not waste. I want to capture waste, fraud, and abuse. There's none of that, but I want to catch that. I want to know where my numbers are. But fundamentally, what am I really trying to accomplish? Like, I'm trying to build a business that can sustain my lifestyle and help me raise my kids. Like that's what I want to accumulate wealth so I can pass to them. Like, that's really the point. Is like, I'm not trying to, like, I don't want to use software. Like, there's no like intellectual pleasure. Or, actually, no, there is. Actually, for me, there is. But like, the goal of it is like, I want to build a good business so that I can raise my kids. I can take them on vacation. I can send them to the right schools, and I can like pass on something to them, and my wife and I can enjoy our lives. Like, that's why I want to find a better tool.
Yeah. No, 100%. And that's like such a huge piece of it. And I think it's a great question for anyone building a company. It's like, why is your customer trying to, like, what are they trying to do? What's the job to be done? That, I love that whole framework. Have you ever read those? Like, it's great if you're brainstorming like ideas. It's like, the job to be done is, you know, close the books. It's like, well, not really. Like, that's a part of it. But like, why do you want to close the book? Well, I want to close the books on time because our owners need to get paid. Well, why do you get it? Because if the owners don't get paid, then they're going to get mad. Well, if they don't get paid, we can't keep our margin, because then they're going to like, you start going down the road of asking all these questions, and you start to understand, like, well, you know, there's a lot more to the problem than just like, there's some sort of thing that they need to do. It's like, your goal is to have a good life and be able to have some peace of mind, and also figure out how to optimize the financial position that you've built for yourself, and not like lose it. You know, it's like, all right, that's a much more clear objective than not lose 3% or 5% of your spend on you know, unreimbursables because you forgot to bill it back to a category or something. or yeah.
No, and it's a great, you know, I think it's great framing. It's a great way to wrap up the conversation. And we, you know, we definitely went on a tangent on what to talk about. But, you know, I think the why why we're doing this is actually just as important as the what, right? Like, whether it's short-term rentals or building a software company, whatever you're doing is like important, but it's like understanding the why. And then I think also just identifying with the people that are building the product that you like if they have the similar values as you, like, hey, like, oh, okay. That's people I want to do business with. I definitely want to explore. I know you and I talked a little, we talked back in January, I think, when we went in Miami. I was intrigued by the product. And now that, there were certain things that I didn't understand as well. I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of cool. I would love to look into it. And, for folks here, if you have a short-term rental business, you're managing properties for co-hosting, take it out, take a look at TopKey. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good at this, but now there's definitely just newer technology that would be much more fun to use. John, thanks for enlightening me personally on this. What's the best way for folks to check out the product, reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, our website is, feel free to book a demo on our website, hit me on LinkedIn, or anyone on our team on LinkedIn. We're really active there, and we'll walk you through the product, and would love to have you check it out.
All right, we'll link TopKey's website to the show notes, and cool. John, should we link your LinkedIn profile on there too? People can tag you.
Sure. Yeah.
You? Okay.
I can send that.
Perfect.
Awesome.
And then before I'll ask my kind of traditional closing question. Business is definitely a team sport. Not a straight line to the right all the time. What's one of the kindest things that someone has done for you, whether at banking or building TopKey, Starwood, Airbnb? What was one of the kindest things that someone's done for you that helped you get to where you are today?
Yeah, that's tough. Shoot, I wish I would have thought about this a little bit before. I would say, I think I would probably call out. There was a guy that his name was Tim, and he was an investment banker before, and I went to Florida State for undergrad and then Duke for grad school. But I was at Florida State and I was exploring investment banking, and I just reached out to a bunch of people, and he had no business talking to me. But we did like a call, and then he like reached back out and connected me to like 5 different people. And I was just like, hey, I'm looking to try to get into this industry. And, I didn't know anything about anything. And he just kept like following up and was very helpful in a way that like he didn't have to be. And I remember thinking at the time, like, it was really just not helpful is not the right word. It was incredibly helpful because it just gave me a whole host of other people to get to know. And then it kind of just helped me, like, it's just a way for me to start networking, which, in that world is so important. And, I just remember thinking like, he didn't have to do that. And he didn't have to spend the time he did. I didn't make him rich. I didn't make him more successful. He didn't know me or know my dad or know my mom or anything. It was just like a totally random person. But I remember thinking that guy in particular, just doing the work that he did to like connect me to those people, it was really helpful and helped me a lot, just kind of get my bearings. And I don't know. I found that to me, it's such an easy thing to do. And I try to do that when I can with people, especially younger people who are trying to break into industries. It's so hard. Go help someone who's networking.
No,
that was Tim Smith.
A lot of people.
Loki.
All right, Tim at Houlihan. If you're listening to this, shout out to you. Thanks for doing that for John. And like, it's funny. A lot of people say this when I ask the question. It's like, it's not actually the action, because there's probably like maybe more impactful things. I think it's really more of like, just like someone did something and they just didn't have to, and they didn't ask for something in return. They didn't there was no expectation. They just wanted to do something nice because maybe they had like a similar situation, or they just wanted to be a good person, and it just like impacts people in those ways. So like, if you're listening to this and you can be helpful for someone, please do that. Like, you can really change someone's lives and not know about it. John, thanks for taking the time today. I really appreciate you introducing the product, walking me through the product set, and look forward to staying in touch, and, congratulations on what you built so far.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the time as well. I really enjoyed it.
If you found this episode valuable, please make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when I put out new content on Airbnb investing. And if you want to learn about how to work with me more directly, I have links below on my description click on those and let's figure out how I can help you with your Airbnb investing journey.